livering as usual, a Facebook Live and an Instagram Live at the same time. So the Facebook Live is our primary feed. If you can be here, this is where you should be. And if you're watching on Instagram and it sounds terrible, go to Facebook. This is our experiment.
Oh my God, all my people are in the IG room. So that's good. At least it's people I love and trust.
That's good. We'll keep reminding you all that the Instagram is experimental. And that if you can't hear us on Instagram, go to facebook.com/momcavetv. All right. I'm going to be all official about this and start this baby up now. Okay. Welcome to Mom Cave Live, where we may have lost our minds, but we have not lost our senses of humor. I'm Jen, and my guest today is Bethany Braun Silva. Hi, Bethany.
Hi, how's it going?
Great. I want to give you an intro, but it's so hard to say. She's a person that she's been on all the places because she is a parenting and lifestyle expert, editor. So Bethany has worked for parenting.com and Big Apple Parent and What to Expect. And so she is here to help us in one of the big questions every parent has around Halloween, which is how can we make it not be about just candy?
You know, it's so funny. Like even after 10 years of being in this industry, I still kind of cringe when I hear the word expert and my name, a parenting expert.
Parenting plus expert just always seems like an oxymoron to me.
It is. I mean, certainly expert on the like digital media side, but with my own kids, no, I don't consider myself an expert. And this is something I'm definitely a work in progress, especially around holiday time, struggles, Halloween candy. So this is something that I'm like proactively dealing with myself. And I have, a few tips that have worked with me. Some I've learned from my mom friends, things like that. And really the first one that I want to talk about is this idea of the switch witch, right? So, okay. And people sometimes call it the Halloween fairy. There's different names. You can Google it. But
yeah, witch is too scary. We'll make it a fairy.
But so this is really a way to kind of incentivize your kids. And I learned this from a neighbor of mine, and I'll have to tell her that I gave her props right here. So, so essentially what you do is like, you don't have to, you can still have fun trick-or-treating. You can get all the candy, count. I know for me, it was like a big deal counting. My kids love to count and compete and tally up all the pieces, right? So you don't have to eliminate that because that is really fun. And we don't want to, take everything away from our kids. Just
the sugar.
Right. So do all of that. At the end of the night, lay all the pieces out on a table and tell your kids, if they're younger, that, the switch witch is going to come, take this candy and give them like a little gift, a little toy, almost like how you would do with the tooth fairy. And so if they're young enough to believe this and they can get excited and the idea is like, well, this candy is going to disappear, inevitably, like let's think of a toy you might like, or you can even do a request for, an experience, so something like that night. You remove all the candy and then the switch witch gives them a little gift. You can get as creative as you want with a little note. It really varies on like what your bandwidth is, your parenting bandwidth is. But I like this because it still allows my kids to enjoy all the trick-or-treating things but then it eliminates a lot of that sugar.
That's a great idea. What I did the last time I did that was I took all of the candy. I then fished through it after they were in bed and removed all Reese's products, kept those for myself, threw the rest out. Then I have to hide the Reese's products. Right. Because we can deal with sugar rush. We're grown-ups. But it's when the kids get the sugar rush, the disaster ensues.
Yes.
Yeah. So the Switch Witch, there's a book and a doll, too, that you can get with Switch Witch. We did a giveaway of that once. So that's something to check out.
Yes.
Yeah. So let me ask you, in your house, when it's not Halloween, like how bad are you about desserts? Because I'm bad.
I recently felt like I was getting out of control, not like out of control with desserts, but I felt like I think we all kind of struggle with this as moms, parents. Like sometimes we feel like our lives are out of control. And I certainly felt that way around sugar. Now, full disclosure, I'm a diabetic. I was a diabetic. I was diagnosed as a teenager. So it's like extra sensitive, somewhat triggering for me to see my kids eat loads of sugar all the time. Or even like once in a while. So what I did was, and really, again, it depends on your kids. So desserts, we try to stay away from that bribing. Like if you eat your dinner, you get a dessert. But what I was finding was I can set boundaries and rules in my own house, but where I was really getting like, the anxiety over lack of control was like in other scenarios, even with my own parents. I mean,
yes, the grandparents.
Grandparents. I mean, I wasn't raised like this, but like it's like they short circuit when it comes to their grandkids.
Oh, totally. It's very different than when we were kids. My mom moved into a new house recently, and she got one of those signs you get at like Home Goods, and it says grandparents rules. And one of the rules says something about like you can have whatever treats you want anytime. And my children at a recent visit were taking that very literally. Like every time I said, no, you can't have an ice cream cone 5 minutes before dinner, they'd like point to this sign. Oh no, it's a rule here.
That is insane. And I have the same thing with the ice cream cones, the mini ice cream cones. My kids
Yes.
go over to my parents and eat 5 ice cream cones. Now, my mother went through the trauma of my diabetes diagnosis with me. So what is she thinking? I don't know. So what I've actually been doing to like kind of curb these sugar things is, and again, this works with my own kids, is that there's lots of information on Instagram and TikTok and videos like that I like that I actually find is digestible for them to see. So to understand like the effects of sugar on the brain. I think his name is Dr. Abel. He's very, so it's just seeing like what, and again, his videos aren't necessarily tailored for kids, but the way he describes it, my kids are able to understand it in some capacity. So I think with a lot of things with parenting, and this is just from my own research, my own experiences, like when we give kids like the choice, when we give them the autonomy to like, and the knowledge, like we arm them with the knowledge and they can make their own choices. I think that oftentimes they'll be, they will make the right choice.
We hope. We try to give them that opportunity. What is another thing we can do for Halloween to kind of keep it away from the sugar?
Yeah, I mean, you can also do tons of crafts. We were at a Halloween party, actually, like a little, Halloween party thingy, a fall festival thing with friends. Yeah. And then to make it about the crafts. I mean, my kids, like, we painted these pumpkins here. We made different masks. And one of my favorite crafts is this ghost wreath that you can do with cotton balls or tissue paper. And then you essentially just, it's so easy to do. I'll drop a link in Facebook to that craft. But I think if you can incorporate as many crafts and fun activities, and also, if you're not crafty, head over to the dollar store, get some, little goodie bag favor things, finger puppets, temporary tattoos my kids love. Because to be honest, I'm not super crafty. So I rely on these affordable little knick-knacky things to keep my kids entertained and busy and feeling really like festive around the holidays. I mean, I love a good craft once in a while, but I am not a Pinterest mom whatsoever.
No. In fact, when I started MomCave, one of the taglines was the anti-Pinterest of parenthood.
There you go.
Yeah, I can't live up. If you're just joining us, we're live on Facebook, and we've got this like behind the scenes thing going on over here on Instagram. If you're having trouble hearing us on Instagram, head on over to Facebook. And we are talking with Bethany Braun Silva about how to make Halloween not about the candy. And we would love to hear your comments about things that you might do that help out with this, or if you have questions, and we're going to choose the best comment to get a prize. Tell them about their prize.
Oh, it's a good one. So we'll be providing a gift, sort of, I don't know if it's a basket, a compilation of gifts from Safe and Fair, which is actually, I wanted to talk about it because they are amazing. They do popcorn, granola, and it's all flavored, like key lime popcorn, chocolate popcorn, and it's all organic, all that crap you don't want your kids to eat. It still tastes delicious. I can down a whole bag of their strawberry shortcake popcorn in one sitting. So we'll be giving away Safe and Fair, Boo Foods, and then Aloysia Marie face masks, which I thought was kind of fitting for Halloween. If you're making those sheet masks.
You can go with a mom bee, right? And have like your face mask, your curlers.
It never fails. I'll put one on thinking my kids are totally occupied with Legos or something, and I'll put one on for 10 minutes, and then they walk in and it freaks them out. And I'm like, well, guys, this is part of my self-care. Get used to it.
Yeah. If they're little, maybe they're scarred for life. But if they're older, it's a good laugh you can all have together.
Right. And they do. They look pretty gnarly. I'll admit they look a little crazy.
Well, sugar can kill your skin. So, I'm saying all of this, people listening, and I'm not I'm the worst at this. I'm like the absolute worst. I eat sugar every day. Been giving my kids dessert every day after dinner. I never should have started that. And I know it's just a question of like cutting it off and being like, that's not our rule anymore. But yeah, I haven't been able to have the
You know,
self-control to
I'll,
do that.
Well, Jen, you know what we do? Rather, what you can do is, and this is actually something we've just discovered. My 6-year-old came to me and he was like, "We got to do Sunday Mondays, like Sundays,
Ooh,
Monday, like Taco Tuesday, Sunday,
right.
Monday." So this is the day we go all out. We do ice cream, chocolate, chocolate sauce, the whipped cream, all of it on Mondays, and this is
Mhm.
our day to look forward to dessert. And of course,
Nice.
the weekends, things are good, but during the week after dinner, we keep it to like a Greek yogurt or something else or fruit with whipped cream. But Sunday, Mondays are our big day to splurge. And they
Cute.
just love the idea of that. So I mean, that's just one suggestion for you guys, like to pick one day and make it like an event.
That's the
And
dessert
then,
day.
if they ask for dessert, I'll go, remember, okay, well, let's add it to Sunday, Mondays or whatever, dessert,
Right.
dinner. I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
That's great. It's like whatever can work for you. Are you going trick or treating this year?
We are. So we're doing a family gathering, a family trip to actually we're going to Salem. So I mean,
Ooh.
this is like a kind of like a bucket list thing. And I know it's still not an ideal time to travel but we are driving and we're going to take all the precautions and we're super excited because my mom and dad are coming. They'll be dressing up, my sister-in-law, my kids, like we have epic costumes and this is something that I've wanted for so long, like to dress in theme. And I'll just say
Yes.
lots of 70s rock stars are
Ooh.
involved. And I'm beyond. I'm like over the moon about it.
That's so fun. Yeah, I kind of love the part about Halloween when I get to dress up, and I know, like, half of the parents are judging me, like, "What is with that woman?" But the other half are wishing that
Yes.
they also dressed as Elsa last year. Was that last or no, last year was the fairy godmother and my daughter was Cinderella,
Love
and then the
it.
year before we were Anna and Elsa. I mean, when else can a grown woman, like, put on a blonde wig and get all princessed up? So I don't know. We have no plan for this year yet, though, so I gotta get
Yeah.
on that.
I know it's been like a rough, few months to say the least. So I wanted to do something special, get out of our neighborhood. We live in New York City, which has challenges in and of itself.
Mhm.
So we're excited to just get out of town for a little bit, head up north and just have a really great weekend. But I will say, speaking about your comment about like, moms dressing up, I feel like
Yeah,
this is a perfect excuse to kind of like embrace the fun, forget, your ego and just like go
totally.
all out.
And the
The
kids
kid,
will remember it. You're making a memory of, like, even if you totally humiliate them or they say you are, they're like, "Remember the time that you dressed up as blah, blah, blah?" They'll
so
remember it.
funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, and that's a good tip of making it a trip, or even if it's just a different neighborhood that you don't usually go to, going somewhere else to make it special, to make it again not all about like how much candy can I get, how quickly.
Yeah, and just also, we love to drive around for look at Christmas lights, Christmas decorations, and I don't know. In the last few years, people are really going all out with their Halloween
Yes.
decorations, blow ups. Even here in New York City, like we'll drive around. We live in Manhattan, but in the outer boroughs. I don't know if you're familiar with or your audience. Like we drive around to
Yes,
Queens and Brooklyn, and they have some of the craziest
they
lights
do.
displays. And it's not in this suburban environment; it's still in an urban environment.
Yeah,
So it's crazy how creative people can get. And I'm just that mom that's like, look, guys, look. So we get
right.
super excited. We make a whole my kids love it. That just like spotting dragons and ghosts and like the craziest things.
That is a great tip, and that reminds me of, so I think it was last year, because of COVID and everyone was being so careful near where I lived, we decided not to walk from house to house, but we kind of drove from house to house, and we spaced out the houses. So like the kids don't know how many houses we're going to, and they don't have any sense of direction. So we just go like, oh, that house on that street has a ton of Halloween decorations. We'll drive over there, but then it's going to take 5 minutes to drive to this other house. And so it became like a tour, the
Yeah.
candy tour, culminating stopping at the grandparents and getting, pictures. So that it became an event, and
Yes.
there was less an opportunity for candy.
And also something that I'm really looking forward to that I only heard about for the first time last year, having to do with the car on Halloween, are haunted car washes. Have you heard of these?
No, it sounds amazing and fun.
I mean, kids already love to drive through a car wash. There's something about like the excitement of the soap and the everything splashing the car. But we heard about these haunted car washes. We didn't get a chance to do it this year. So I'm determined to find an awesome one this year and do that with my kids. We might have to drive through twice. I don't know.
Yeah, your car will be so well washed. You can take your car, then take your husband's, and take your mother's, take everyone's cars. This is great. These are some really good ideas. Creating your own haunted house is a good one. Not during COVID, I guess you can't really have people traipsing through your house, but I have seen people do like their backyard. So you walk into their backyard and it's like all decorated and it's haunted. And to give the kids like something that they've created and they're giving to others, as opposed to just grabbing the candy as much as they can get. Yes.
I do like that idea. We kind of incorporated that a little bit last year. We didn't go trick-or-treating last year. We had a small group of people over to our house. And right before we went over to Walmart, we bought a little smoke machine. So I think that's right. We try to make it special for our kids. And you're right, for our guests. So you make it about, making it a fun event for other people. I do love that idea. I don't know if we'll do that again, but I think it was great.
To do each idea every year, right? You can mix it up, and every year is different. These are some great ideas. Everybody who's watching, leave a comment with an idea you have or a question you have, because you have a chance to win a prize package from Bethany. Bethany, what was your favorite Halloween costume ever?
Oh my gosh. My mother can sew, and I would have to say something that she threw together. When I was, 4, 5, 6, I think I was like consecutively like Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella, and they were all costumes that she cut and sewed from patterns. So I wish I had a picture to throw up right now. But
I should have prepped this with photos to show everyone.
But I would have to say probably Snow White. When I think back, like the details of this costume that my mother, and I have absolutely no skills. Like I order costumes online, but she's also, I have to say, one of those Disney princesses was definitely my favorite. But you get like a few years with your own kids where you can dress them in whatever you want before they start to like have their own. I know. But my mother made a full Hobbit costume for my first son when he was 2 years old. So he went as Frodo. He had a cape and again, all homemade, handmade by her. That was really, really special. And he had this curly Hobbit hair, and it was so cute. It was so I think that might actually trump anything that I did. That is
so sweet. Yeah. We have a group here on Facebook called the MomCave, and we should all go in there and put some of our photos of these costumes and share with each other, because we all love to do that, and I would like to see everybody else's.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Do you have a final tip for us before we sign off and get into this whole Halloween season?
It can be hard, and it's been especially hard this last Halloween and all of that. But I think, like anything, like if you're experiencing something together as a family, I think you can always double down on the fun that way. And everything that I said about the candy, if your kids, if it means something to them in the moment, if they're feeling like maybe like deprived, go ahead. We really have to, there are no hard and fast rules in parenting. I think this group probably knows that better than anyone. So, you got to do what feels right for you. I love to make it about together time and making memories and being silly. But if my kids are upset because like they want this piece of candy, of course I will give in. So, just follow your guts.
It's one night out of the year. So
yes,
little sugar isn't going to kill them, but we will do our best to make sure we don't get them all sugared up and turn them into sugar monsters, as we say in my house. Thank you so much for all these great ideas. We're going to continue to share them with everybody, and we're going to put some info in the comments. And thank you for bearing with us on the Instagram. If you did that, check out Bethany. As we sign off, tell everybody where they can find you online.
So you can find me at Bethany Braun Silva on Instagram, or you can go over to my website, bethanybraun.com. I'm pretty easy to find, but IG is the best way to reach me.
Great. And I am MomCave TV on all of the things. So Okay, happy almost Halloween, everybody. Here's hoping we all make it through with no sugar meltdowns and a ton of fun. Thanks, Bethany.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Bye.